Father Hugh O'Connor, the Secretary General of the Catholic Bishops' Conference.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Karen Reid. I'm the current treasurer and cannot wait to hand it over to somebody else. I'm going to keep the video off basically because I'm in Australia and I don't want to really, I want to keep the meeting going and make sure I stay connected, should I say. So I'm not going to do video, but great to be with you all.
Hi everybody, I'm Hurly Centre and I'm mostly the youth coordinator in Religions for Peace South Africa. Play many roles, many hats, and so glad to be at this meeting and see you all. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Ila Gandhi and I've been in this organization for a very long time, since 1984. Getting really old now, it's time to retire.
No retirement for the good people like you.
Yeah.
So you are one of the founding members. Hi, Vadan. And Bishop Mike, were you not one of the founding members as well?
One in KZN, yes.
Okay.
All
right.
Yes.
Awesome. Hi. Just while Vadan is sorting this out, let's go ahead and continue with introductions. Over here we have Tandaza. Tandaza is one of our new youth interns for Religions for Peace South Africa. She's helping with some of the youth programs here in the Durban area. And then Banzi, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, Haley.
Okay, Banzi, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Banzi, and I'm one of the youth coordinators in Cape Town for Religions for Peace. I'm also working for the Mali and Silver program this year as one of their facilitators. I'm a second-year law student, and I'm very happy to be part of the team this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Banzi. And I'm happy to tell you all online that the projector is now showing all of you. Thank you, Vadan.
I don't know how you want to set this.
Perfect.
Can I please sit there?
No, it's okay. Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Banzi. He's also one of our youth interns in the Western Cape, and he is doing fantastic work there, and I think he'll give us a short report at some point. And then from the Eastern Cape, we have Lavona George, our representative from the Eastern Cape. Lavona, hi, can you introduce yourself?
Hi,
I've already said Lavona, she used to be on the interfaith structure in the Western Cape, and then she relocated to the Eastern Cape, and she's hoping to get something started that side as well with a provincial chapter. And then we have our very newly elected Jewish representative. I'm very happy to tell you all that the Jewish community has officially appointed Rabbi Gilad as the religious Jewish representative, and Elena Baranov as the his proxy, and also just as a female representative of the Jewish faith for South Africa. So Elena, can you show us your beautiful face and say hi to us, please?
Hi there. Sorry, I'm having connection issues, so I hope you can see me and hear me. I'm going to try to get my camera going. But it is such an honor to be a part of this meeting. As you said, I'm here on behalf of Reverend Friedman to represent the South African Jewish community. And I'm so humbled to be in your presence and very interested in today's meeting. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for being with us. And dear Reverend Barry, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Reverend Barry Burr. I'm in Cape Town, and I'm the chairperson of Cape Town Interfaith Initiative. And also, yeah, it's just really wonderful to be at this gathering. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, dear Reverend. We also have Roshan. Roshan, can you tell us a little bit about where you are and who you are?
Hello, everybody. I'm Roshan Kublal. I'm actually from KZN. And I'm linked with an ashram called Sarva Dharma Ashram and the Phoenix Hindu Unity Forum. But right now I'm based in Cape Town for a short while. And I would like my friend Banzi to contact me. Maybe I can do some work with him while I'm in Cape Town.
Of course.
Alain, dear Alain, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alain Schuden. and I'm with the International Centre of Nonviolence at the Durban University of Technology. The second hat that I work with the Association Montessori International that looks at early childhood development, psychologist, ethicist, and generally interested in peace and nonviolence. So I'm hoping to come in and out of the meeting as much as I can. Thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Alain. And Lingani from the Baha'i Faith, over to you.
Greetings, everybody. Thanks for the invitation. It's wonderful to be here with you all. I look forward to this meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ian Booth, and I'm representing the Diaconia Council of Churches.
Reverend Ian, can we ask you a favor? If I'm not mistaken, you are also a vice chair of the South African Christian Council?
That's correct. Yeah.
President. Can we ask you to wear that hat today in this meeting as well, please? So you can report back to the Christian Council if you're behaving
That's
right.
fine, because I'm never sure what hat to wear whenever I go, because there's also the YMCA, and I'll represent them too.
Great, that way we're not leaving anybody out. Fantastic. And now, dear friends, I would like to turn over to the Secretary General of the African Council of Religious Leaders and Religions for Peace, Dr. Kuria.
Thank you very much, Haley, for putting this up together. Good afternoon. I don't know whether it's afternoon in South Africa. Good afternoon, friends. My name is Francis Kuria Kagema, currently serving as the Secretary General of the African Council of Religious Leaders, Religions for Peace, representing Religions for Peace here in Africa. I'm very happy to be here with you. I've met many of you. I've met a good number of you, and it's always a pleasure. It's rare for the Africa Council to attend the meetings of the national interreligious councils. You know, we have 34 national interreligious councils, and sometimes they can be quite engaging. But I'm particularly glad to join this annual general meeting of the Religions for Peace South Africa, given the trip I made there in November last year and some of the discussions that are key. I haven't seen Mr. Pundit Bharat. We had spoken earlier with him, and he's the current chair, and he had said we'll be here with him.
He's really not well. So he said he's going to try and Zoom in. I have sent him the Zoom details. Maybe Marilyn, if you don't mind WhatsApping him, just so it's at the top of his WhatsApp again. He said he would try and Zoom in if he can, but he said he would just try. So there was no guarantee. He's really having a difficult time. So perhaps as we start with our interfaith prayers, which he was supposed to lead, we could just remember him in our prayers this morning or this afternoon, if that's okay. And what he had told me he wanted to do for the interfaith prayer was to ask different faith leaders to each offer a short prayer. So if it's okay, we'll do that. I'm sorry, Reverend Barry was going to do an interfaith prayer to start, and then we'll start with those with Elaine and Father Hugh, and then we'll have a few other faith prayers at the end. So Sheikh Walid is suggesting we have one prayer on behalf of all of us. Is everyone agreeable to that? Okay, in that case, Reverend Barry, would you mind leading us, since you are our ordained interfaith minister? Would you mind just starting with an interfaith prayer for us to get our hearts in the right way this morning, this afternoon?
Thank you, what an honor. If you would all please just take a deep breath in, and just feeling ourselves quietening into this moment as we become aware also of all of those who are not with us in person, but are with us in spirit. And we give thanks for the love and protection that covers them too. And so we say, Great Spirit, creator of the wind, the water, the earth, and the fire, and who used all of these elements to manifest the miracle of all of life, including humanity. We acknowledge you. We are humbled to come into your presence on this day. Great Spirit, who is closer to us than our own heartbeats and who is inseparable from the flow of life that courses through the universe, we ask only to unite now in our various sacred expressions, to join together with common purpose, honoring our differences and celebrating our similarities and our interconnectedness. Great Spirit, our purpose is to serve all of life, be it human, plant, animal, be it water or air or earth. In serving one gives us the wisdom and insight never to harm the other, so that all of life should come into alignment. The garden of creation should bloom fully and gloriously in honor of the divine breath that flows through all of us. Let us give birth to the vision of common purpose and common good. Let us contribute to the manifestation of divine will on earth. Dear God, give us ears to hear your voice in the quietness of our own inner temples, eyes to see your hands at work in our lives and in the beauty of the most humble souls, and hearts of compassion for all of life, bringing the vibrant radiance of our diversity into glorious harmony and peace on earth. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dear friends, a few of others have just joined us as we had our opening prayer. Welcome to Professor Nadi. And for those who've just joined us on Zoom, welcome Bishop Mike, Sheikh Walid, Belinda, Tandaza, Kogi, Patricia, Vidan, Kushle, and myself. And if I can ask Marilyn, is there anybody else on Zoom we need to welcome who just joined us?
Hi, Haley. There's someone from Global Peace House. I don't know who that is.
Okay, welcome to our friend from Global Peace House. Maybe in the chat you could just share who you are. Thank you so much. Now, dear friends, in the absence of our chair and in the lack of a vice chair, I would like to make a proposal that dear Ila had made. Maybe Ila, would you rather make the proposal or does it matter?
Haley, if you make the proposal, we had this discussion before.
Okay.
Carry on.
Okay, so Mama Ila had called me earlier saying that since Dr. Kuria is attending with us today, it would be nice if he could co-chair this meeting. And then we need one volunteer perhaps in our presence here to act as a co-chair in the physical space, which I would maybe ask Sheikh Walid or Bishop Mike, one of you would. He's saying you. Sorry, sorry, Sheikh Walid. You've been co-opted. So I think that can work quite well if we have one Zoom host, chair, and one in our presence. Are we all happy with that arrangement? Everybody present is saying yes, but I can't. Maybe you guys can give thumbs up on the Zoom if you're happy. Okay, great. Thank you, Father Hugh. I like lots of thumbs up, strong thumbs up from Father Hugh. Okay, so I'm going to now hand over, please, to dear Sheikh Walid to help guide us through the agenda. And if you want to propose any changes to the order or how we go about it, and Dr. Kuria, same, feel free to. And
thank you, Harry. I think we did the interfaith prayer already. Welcome, you have already mentioned it. But register and apology also done. Let's start with the minutes of the last AGM.
Okay. So we have two ways of doing this. I could just do a brief summary of the minutes because they were all circulated via email. Or would you prefer I just read out the full minutes?
Summary.
Summary? Thumbs up for a summary?
Okay.
Everybody's happy? Okay, great. So at the previous meeting, it was the biennial, am I saying it correctly? A biennial general meeting that took place at the Methodist Church here in Durban, at the Manning Road Methodist. And the chairperson gave a report of some of the interfaith activities, which were mostly taking place in the KZN region last year. Oh, thank you, Marilyn, for putting this up there so everybody can see. Maybe make it a bit bigger. And there were lots of wonderful interfaith initiatives all throughout the year that were listed by the chair. Then there was an introduction of the auditors. The Auditors Excel Tax Group has been working on a backlog of audits for Religions for Peace for many years, because when Dear Pundit took over as chair, all of the books had been neglected for a while. And Ila, with her encouragement, has been trying to help the treasurer and the executive not give up on Religions for Peace, because it's really just the administrative technical stuff that needs to be sorted out. And because, like Ila said, this organization has been around since 1984, Mama Ila. It's not one we want to lose. Dr. Korea had mentioned it's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, interfaith structures in Africa. So it's worth fighting for and getting back on its feet. So unfortunately, Dear Pundit, again with his health issues, he's been working with Karen and the auditors tirelessly to try and get all of those accounts in order. It's almost complete. It may actually already be complete, but because he's unwell, he isn't able to let us know today. So please feel free to stay in touch with the Secretariat for updates on the audit. And then the secretarial report was very long-winded about all the wonderful things that Religions for Peace is doing with our partners around the country. And I think, Marilyn, if you don't mind showing the first slide that you put together, that kind of highlights the main objectives of the strategic plan of Religions for Peace, both in South Africa, on the African continent, as well as in the world. And so all of the activities listed in that secretarial report focused on interfaith prayers, dialogues, creating spaces for people to come together. And these goals we've been trying to address: promoting peaceful and just and inclusive societies, advancing gender equality, which is wonderful to have We Will Speak Out as a partner with RFP, because they do so much interfaith work on that ground. Nurture a sustainable environment. I'm sure in Marilyn's report, she will talk about all the wonderful things that the Climate Forum has been doing. Champions of freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. We are blessed in South Africa that we aren't fighting so hard for that like some other countries are. Strengthen interreligious education, which is part of our goal, is to create spaces where we can learn about each other's faiths, get rid of misinformation, misunderstandings, and really become friends. And then foster multi-religious collaboration, which adds to that, and global partnerships. So Religions for Peace is, maybe Dr. Kuria, if you can just come here. It is the largest international interfaith body. Is there also another one that's with us? There's 92 countries represented. Is it the largest international interfaith body?
It's the largest coalition of faith groups in the world, yes.
Yeah.
It's the largest coalition of faith communities in the world.
So again, I want to spend more time today on this year's report, but just a few highlights were that in the last year, we did a YouTube series of COVID relief responses from different faith leaders to try and give people encouragement. We hosted a series of dialogues with professionals as well as faith leaders on the issues around the pandemic. We hosted empowerment programs for women, the protection of the earth, and it goes on and on. So I'm just going to leave it there. And then the Treasurer's report, as I stated, they've been working with the auditors As of last year, there was about just under 50,000 rand that we were working with. So it's a micro budget to help with the growth of Religions for Peace in South Africa, as well as environmental projects awarded to Marilyn, I believe, for her work with youth. And then there were some amendments to the Constitution, but we're going to go through that later in the agenda. So if it's okay, we'll wait for that part. And then we have, regarding the election of officers, it was decided that nomination forms for new officers will be sent out to our national affiliates, and then those, and then the executive would then elect the new officers. That did not happen because there were no nominations that came through. However, that has changed, and today we have, in the correspondence, there have been nominations for election of new officers, so that's exciting. And then we had, we reviewed some of our upcoming goals, which had to do with those 6 strategic plan objectives. And we talked about how we wanted to host nationwide workshops, dialogues, and forums, which we did online using Zoom, which helped us develop more of a national relationship with people. And then also wanted to do some local and provincial neighborhood action interfaith activities to help people become friends throughout the various provinces. And we proposed that people host monthly gatherings in their provinces. And I know that that is already happening in the Western Cape and in KZN. And to my knowledge, the Gauteng has created a coalition for interfaith justice, and they're starting some work too. But one of the biggest highlights that we were looking forward to was a special event for Desmond Tutu's 90th birthday. And I'll report that in this term. So that was one of our goals, and we did fulfill it, not knowing that it was going to be his final farewell. Yeah. And then we had a general discussion. And Lagandi talked about how we need to develop our Women of Faith Forum. So we've been working on that slowly. And then Raymond talked about the welcoming in of the new Archbishop for the Catholic Church, as well as which other big church? The Anglicans also got a new Archbishop. So we're going to have we had a nice gathering of friends of faith to welcome them. I'm just going to leave it there. I think that's enough summary. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lily, for the information. I think let's go straight to number 5, which is matter arising.
So the matters arising is the election of officers.
Are we going to deal with it now?
Dr. Korea, should we do the election of officers now? I'm happy with that if everybody feels it's.
If you go through the.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I think matters which are a substantive agenda are never considered in the matters arising. So we only consider the matters arising that are not a substantive agenda in the agenda of the annual general meeting. So since the matter of election of officers is a substantive agenda, then it cannot be considered among the matters arising. So if there is any matter arising which is not in the agenda, then we can consider that.
The only thing that struck me that perhaps warrants a slight comment is that the Religions for Peace International and the African Council of Religious Leaders has asked us to balance our involvement of youth and women with religious leadership, so that we create that real true balance, so it doesn't become male heavy. So in this, so that was something that was part of the last set of minutes. So as we explore moving forward, we need to discuss perhaps how to create that balance in our South African structures. That's all that comes to my mind. Is there anything else that anybody saw in the minutes they feel needs further discussion or consultation or decision? Welcome, Pundit. Welcome.
Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you. Maybe just to let him know, so I don't know if he was here with us when we, so to get the meeting going, we asked Dr. Kuria and Sheikh Walid to just assist us with chairing this meeting. And if you feel they've missed anything, feel free to chime in, unless is that acceptable?
Right, and we have correspondence.
Okay, under correspondence, we received nomination forms for officers for Religions for Peace. We received one nomination form for the position of chair, chair/president, as it is in our constitution, for Sheikh Walid. Sorry, I'm trying to type as I do this. We received 2 nominations for vice chair, which were for Reverend Tandy in Johannesburg, who sent apologies. She's going to still try and come in, but she's stuck in court. So she had a very good reason why, because she was planning on being here, but she's stuck. She can't tell the judge, sorry, judge, I've got to take a phone call. So we got a nomination for Reverend Tandy for vice chair, as well as for Reverend Barry in Cape Town. And then we had one nomination for treasurer, and that was for dear Belinda Mindu, who's sitting quietly in the background over there. She likes to be behind the scenes, I've noticed. Thank you, Belinda. Even though it wasn't on the nomination form, I was very happy to see that there was a nomination for an assistant secretary, which was for Vedant Singh. And to my knowledge, all of these people who were the correspondents for nominations, they were consulted to ask if they would be willing to serve in these positions of service, and they all did say yes, they would. So that's exciting. It's also quite simple because there's only 2 different people nominated for vice chair, but our constitution allows for up to 3 vice chairs. So that's great.
Excuse me.
I would like to ask him if he can hear me speaking, if we are allowed to nominate more people while we're present, even though it wasn't done ahead of time. Is that allowable?
You do have the hand of Madam Ella. Do you have some? Hello, Madam Ella. Do you want to say something?
I just wanted to say that. Yeah, I did. So I just wanted to say that as a matter of formality, we should have acceptance of the minutes. So somebody should move and somebody should second. Just formality, but we need to do that because, you know, these minutes can be scrutinized by other people at any time. I mean, we need to have that on record.
I agree.
And the nominations should come, Haley. I think the nominations should come when, as we ask for each office bearer position. So if you say that, you know, now it's for secretary, you read out the nominations for the secretary, we elect and we carry on like that, instead of having so many nominations read out before. I'm just suggesting that as
guidance. I think my co-chair, thank you for that guidance, Madam Ella. I think you are right. I think my co-chair who handled that that item on the agenda on the minutes, I think we need procedurally to have somebody who proposes for adoption of those minutes and somebody else who then moves for the adoption of those minutes so that they can be legal minutes of the organization which are kept in the file. And they should actually be signed by the chair so that they can be put in the file. So, Mr. Walid, I think you need to move for the adoption of the minutes for those people who are present in that BGM.
Okay, so the people who are here now who are present at that BGM were Vedant, Bishop Mike, Karen Reed, Haley, Kundit Raj, Prof. Nadi, Miss Lavona, Miss Marilyn, and Dr. Ila. So yeah, a lot of us were there. Okay, so Bishop Mike and Professor Nadi have so moved and seconded.
Fine. What you was reading for us was the correspondence. So without mentioning the name, then we will move that to number 11 when we come to the election instead. Then
okay.
We go through it. Now we have number 7, which is the chairperson report.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, under the minute, under the agenda of correspondence, there was that correspondence which was from the Department of Social Services. Has there been any other correspondence on that matter? Because there was a gentleman who had raised a complaint. Has that matter been closed in terms of the correspondence, official correspondence of the organization? Has that matter been closed?
Thank you for that. So I know Pundit Raj was waiting until the financials were complete to send everything to the Department of Social Development. But I believe in the interim, we did communicate with the person who had reached out to us very kindly to tell us, please submit these documents. And in the interim, I do believe that, yes, we did send them the narrative reports, which were completed and ready. And we said that the financial reports would come. Is that correct, Pundit?
Yes, Haley. Okay. At the moment now, we are looking at the present financial year. I mean the one that just passed now, 2022, from 2021 to 2022. So they have prepared that financials for us for now, but the rest of it, 2018, 19, 2019, 20, 2020, 2021, those there are still quite a few queries on them, and what's happening is they weren't able to get that audited in time, right? But they've got the 2021, 2022 audited, and I've got a draft copy on the email here. What I think is, or what I suggest is that we take that the rest of the financials, when it is audited, we have a SGM for that, and we can ratify that and send that away, because that will be audited, and in the process is being audited at the moment, right? But there are few hiccups they've got regarding the queries and all that from those years, right? But we can send the present one, 2021, 2022, immediately, because that is this is the AGM where that we're dealing with, 2021, 2022.
We can note that.
Any suggestion? Okay.
Yeah, because that matter of financials is an item in the agenda. We can then note under the issue of correspondence, because I was party to that correspondence, is that the correspondence.
Okay, is it on to Nina, the secretary's report? This is the fun part, guys, that we've all been waiting for. That's all. Wake up. Marilyn, dear, can you please put up the PowerPoint of activities? I hope Marilyn's come back in.
She's in.
Okay, so dear friends, this is in no way exhaustive, these photos and little pictures for us. It's just that I thought it would be good to give you a feel for the various activities that we've been busy with this year. So the first slide is just showing you some of the national interfaith dialogues and prayers that Religious for Peace has hosted throughout the year. I know Bishop Mike and Ila and Marilyn, Reverend Barry We've had some wonderful participation from guests and friends of Religions for Peace, like Dr. Imnitaz Suleiman, some professional doctors from various faiths that gave some interesting insights. And we also co-hosted a few events with different religions. So the last one there, The Journey of the Soul, Insights into the Afterlife, that was hosted with the Baha'i community and Religions for Peace. There was also, I think maybe go to the next slide. There was also a nice event with an interfaith event that the South African Jewish Board of Deputies asked us to host with them. So I'm going to just stay quiet for a second and ask for Marilyn, and followed by Banzi, followed by Bishop Mike, to just report on a little bit of the other interfaith work that we've been involved in. Maybe we'll start with Bishop Mike.
Greetings, everybody. The work that we've been involved with actually goes back to 2018, which was an initiative by the African Council for Religious Leaders, and it was focusing on nuclear disarmament and lethal autonomous weapon systems. And we had a gathering of about 20 African embassies, scientists, ethics specialists, and religious leaders from the 16th to the 18th of August 2018. At the time, the South African Religions for Peace was going through various stages of transition, is the only way I can describe it. We didn't quite have the energy to pick up on this issue. So I took it back to my church, the Methodist Church of Southern Africa, and they put in motion a resolution that asked our presiding bishop to write to the respective countries within Southern Africa, asking them to join in this international call for the prohibition of lethal autonomous weapons. But let me just explain what a lethal autonomous weapon is. This is the next generation of weapons. We usually speak of weapons that are guided and controlled by humans, like the drones, but these are weapons that, to put it quite simply, can begin to think for themselves. And so a lethal autonomous weapon, they're a type of autonomous military system that can independently search for and engage targets based on program constraints and descriptions. So in other words, if you can profile people, and you can have one or two people, and a drone can fly in and just kill those people. I mean, that's just putting it very crudely. And so it can engage targets and so on. Yeah. Lethal autonomous weapon systems, also known as lethal autonomous weapon systems, and also robotic weapons, and killer robots and slaughter bots. These are all the names that it goes by. So we, out of that meeting, certainly the Methodist Church of Southern Africa, they wrote to the respective governments in Lesotho, Mozambique, South Africa, Botswana, Eswatini. We've only since received a response from the South African government, who basically said that they have a process in motion. But since then, we have been part of what is known as the Killer Robots Campaign. And they are an international group that is constantly lobbying. And ultimately, what we're hoping is that the United Nations, as they did with the nuclear disarmament and also with landmines, that they would eventually ban this particular form of weaponry. Just to give you an example, in the Ukraine war, for instance, there was a weapon called a javelin. And this, it gives an example of the kind of technology that has been used. A javelin is a missile that can be programmed to follow a tank. In other words, you can fire it, it will seek out that tank until it's exploded the tank. Whereas your normal weaponry, you have to, it's controlled by humans. So it has all sorts of ethical problems and problems in terms of the Geneva Convention that The rules of engagement tell you that if somebody raises their hand, you're not allowed to shoot them. Will such weaponry be able to recognize that? So those are the kind of issues that, but more frightfully, I mean, that's frightfully enough, is that this kind of technology can fall into the wrong hands. So for instance, you can profile groups of people. So if you get a white supremacist who decides that doesn't like a group of black people, they can program it in such a way that it just seeks out black people in public spaces, and it will only kill them. So, this is we don't know. Even the artificial intelligence and scientists said that a lot of what they call, I think it's called the learning systems of artificial intelligence. The question is, artificial intelligence can teach itself eventually. So we don't know where it's going to take us. But by the same token, that same technology can be used for good. For instance, in Uganda, as I understand it, they're using a form of that technology to take medication to rural areas. So what I think we need to do is not to sort of say the technology must go, but we say let the technology be used for good. And so that would be our call. But firstly, we need to ask, and I'd like Religions for Peace to be a part of this, which really at the end of the day means us constantly putting pressure on our government, the South African government, and other governments in Africa to really get on board with this program. I know that in the office of, and perhaps Dr. Courier could say a bit more, that they have taken this campaign very seriously. And I do also work very closely with our Nigerian counterparts. They have a very strong program going there as well. And we have once a month meetings on Zoom, of course, with the international and African sector dealing with this. So I have pamphlets made. It has a Christian bias, but it just talks about the teachings of Jesus to be peacemakers. But these pamphlets are available, and if people are interested, I can maybe even courier some of them down to people in different places in the province. But I think the main thing is for us to put pressure on the government, the South African government, to take this very seriously by constant, through and they're killing people today. I think it's a both and. I don't think it's an either or. And this technology, by the way, has also been used in Libya. But you can imagine if other groups get hold of it, of the Religions for Peace. But I'm hoping now that Religions for Peace will take this on board and run with it as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I think Haley lost connection. We'll just wait for a few minutes for her to connect. Hi, Mama Ella, we can hear you.
I was just saying that while we're waiting for Banzi, can I just follow up on what Bishop Mike was talking about?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so I have been working very closely with the nuclear weapons, disarmament lobby, which is Parliaments for Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, and several other groups, international groups. I think there is at ACRL, there is a youth group as well that is taking up this issue of nuclear weapons in Africa. I just wanted to say that in South Africa, we dismantled the nuclear weapons that we had in 1994. But since then, there have been lots of discussions, two things. One is about using nuclear energy, and the second is about reviving those nuclear weapons. So we have also mounted quite a, strong reaction to that. A number of environmental organizations and so on have been, involved in this. So I wanted to say collaboration with what Bishop Mike has raised.
Thank you, Mama Ila. I think now we can go on to Banzi. Thank you for your patience, Banzi.
All right. May I begin?
Yes, thank you.
All right, perfect. I was part of the youth coordination team this year, and what we did was I hosted an interfaith dialogue here in Stellenbosch in my university residence, Siemensburg. And in attendance, I had approximately 30 students. And one of the topics we discussed was, do religions unite? And one of the things that we talked about was, the collaboration between different faiths. And by the way, 4 faiths were represented at the meeting. I'm talking Jewish, I'm talking Jews, I'm talking people of the traditional indigenous African culture in South Africa. I'm talking Christians, and I'm also talking some Hindus and Indians of a different faith and cultural practice in India. And what we talked about was, I played them a clip by Reverend Zugisi Faleni talking about the certain divisions that are caused by religion, and how we can then work our way around that to try and sort of like create not tolerance but acceptance, and also how we can sort of like remove the stigma that it is divisive, that religion does indeed divide people. And we all came to a consensus that indeed when we do have this sort of like not tolerance but acceptance to the variety of our religions, we then have sort of like one mandate. And what I loved about the entire meeting was the fact that before we had the meeting, we had tea, and we then also talked about it afterwards. And I sent Haley one of the documents, the kind of topics they wanted to talk about. Very interesting. Very thought-provoking. And I think for me, as my first time joining the program, not really knowing what the clear mandate was in terms of what the institution wants to achieve and everything. But I believe that when I was obviously drafting down my points as to what I wanted to discuss, I made a lot of research, and I went onto the website. And I then also talked about the goals, the 6 strategic goals of Religions for Peace. They were in the document. And I would really like just to say that the feedback that I got, not only from my residence head, but also from the participants, was wonderful. And as I told Haley and Marilyn, that I'm keen on also, hosting more of those, because I'm also trying to establish a great community of Religions for Peace, that we are actually active within the community of Stellenbosch. And also next semester, I'll be applying to be the SRC chairperson, and I'll be very much keen on mentioning my position in the organization, to try and sort of like make it aware that we exist. And I'm sure quite many people also know about the organization, but that is what I'm trying to do in my caucus. I have to mention Religions for Peace and Interfaith as part of my experience of leadership. And I'm looking forward to many interfaith dialogues, and I'm looking forward to many teachings, not only just from Haley, but everyone in the meeting and everyone that I'm going to be working with in the future. And it was very heartwarming, very humbling. And it was young people, and mostly young people aren't really, keen on such conversations, but I loved the turnout because many of them wanted such, conversations in a university setting, because they knew, and some of them are first years, they're not comfortable enough. But the entire meeting allowed them to come out and actually discuss religion. I think that's much about it from my side, and I'm glad to take questions if there are. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Banzi. In addition to the amazing work you're doing with all your energy on the Western Front, I know Tandaza and even Belinda have been helping with some activities here with the Youth Climate Forum. And there's an activity planned for next month, I think, as well. So if it's okay with Marilyn. Marilyn, if you could just give a quick overview of the work of the Climate Forum, and then I'll just finish my secretarial report.
Thanks, Haley. Okay. Because I can hear my voice echoing when I'm talking. Okay. So as if nobody knows about the Religions for Peace Interfaith Youth Climate Forum, we won $5,000 in 2019, and this was based on a proposal I put through with the Global Interfaith Youth Network with Religions for Peace International. And we got awarded the money in 2020. We started with lots of activities, tree plantings with the youth, a lot of interfaith events, and then COVID hit, and then we had to go like really quiet. And so we were quiet for a while, and then we tried to go online, and we did a lot of webinars. We did a lot of online activities. Some of it were the artwork that you've seen, Oceans Day competitions and stuff. And we tried to do as much as we could online. But now that COVID has subsided a bit, we're trying to get more active again. And we requested for RfP International if they can please let us keep the funding. And they have so graciously and kindly accepted. So we have the funding till next year, 2023. And so we're going to try to push out as much activities we can and use as much funding as we can. So we started off the year with creating a video to highlight the past 3 years and what we have done. It's on our YouTube account and everyone can review it. It's just to create more interest and participation from the youth. Then we went on to doing an online webinar, which was celebrating veganuary, where all the youth, which was so amazing. We did it online on Zoom, and in their homes, they prepared a kitchen setup, and we had everyone sharing their vegan recipes and talking teachings from their faith. We had the Brahma Kumaris, the Hindus, the Christians, so it was really amazing. It's also on our YouTube account. Then we went over to launching the Oceans Day project, which is an art competition. Shamla will be driving that forward, and I'm supporting her. We did it last year. We had a creche involved. So this year we're trying to get it out to all the schools. And basically it's about getting kids to provide solutions to climate change in respect to their faith, and sort of doing it in a creative way through artwork. So that's an ongoing project till end of the month, and we want to give prizes and certificates. Then we also had a Kids for Climate Action project at the Ubuntu Wellness Center. And our team that somehow came together, which is Belinda, Tandaza, Haley, and myself, we had a really amazing event. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to attend because I ended up sick in hospital with bronchitis and sinusitis. But these guys, they really did an amazing job, and they pulled the whole thing off. And it was so beautiful. We had creative artwork where the kids painted. We gave them vegan meals. We gave them distribution of speckworm trees and aloe plants. And we even had wonderful song and dances about the earth and meditation. So it was a beautiful day. Also, you can check out the pictures on our social media accounts. So, and then recently we decided to release a blog. The blog is just to get youth to talk about the teachings from their faith in respect to climate change and respect to the recent floods we experienced in KZN. So it's sort of a way of hearing youth voices, getting them to talk about their experiences, what it was like, and also to bring about knowledge, to give knowledge about the teachings of the faith and how we can better relate and respond to Mother Earth. So that is an ongoing project. We had Mama Ella sharing her World Environmental Day speech with us. We had Raisa from the Sufi Muslim faith sharing her reflections. And we also got Salvan, who's going to get youth from the Sukyama Hikari or the Habitat Foundation to share something on their reflections and also talk about the vetiver grass that they talk about, which they have a project going on. So it's an unfolding thing. We'll get more youth involved. And yesterday there was a climate webinar where SAFC recognized us, and we're so grateful for that. And they said that it's sort of like social healing response to the KZN floods, and getting youth to reflect and share their experiences. So that was great. And then just to highlight some other youth events, We, as Haley has mentioned before, we've opened up the intern youth program and we managed to get roles filled. We had 4 roles that were filled, and this was to help us to support to run Religions for Peace South Africa, because Haley and I were just getting like a little bit of a burnout. So we wanted more support, and it was amazing that how the divine works and all these 4 roles got filled up, and it was the exact roles that we needed. So that's how Banzi got on board from Cape Town, Tandaza. We've got another girl, Anna, and the other girl, I forgot her name, sorry. But there's 4 of them, and we hope to have them on board and get more things unfolding for Religions for Peace South Africa. And then in terms of like the youth, we've been trying really hard to mobilize youth, but you know, it's trying times. We had COVID, we had the KZN floods twice, we've had the unrest, we've got like so much youth in unemployment, we've got a lot of challenges to face. So in order to mobilize youth, we just have to have activities and just call people on board and say, are you available? What can you offer? Can you take this role? Can you do this? So that's how we've been proceeding throughout the year. I mean, like our Veganuary webinar, I just called up some youth, Mark was involved as well, and we got together and we did stuff. And then just to give some RfP international information, because last year I attended the conference in Germany, which was the Religions for Peace, Diplomacy and Faith Conference, and it was an intergenerational conference. So there I was involved in a lot of activities, and it was, I was a rapporteur on one of the environmental programs, and I was moderating a session between interfaith leaders and indigenous leaders. And so I was involved there with Azza Karam in a press conference, and also I was involved as the youth media team. That is my international role. So the youth media team supports the IYC, the International Youth Committee, and we also support the RfP International Secretariat. So our job is to take youth activities and put it on all our social media accounts and get the youth out there. So as part of reporting on that conference, I've also been involved in lots of webinars with RfP International. So recently in April, for Earth Day, I was involved in the Mandresa International Conference, where I gave a closing remark for the Conference of Love and Respect for the Earth. And then I was also involved in the UN Habitat and the World Council of Churches webinar with RfP International. The Secretariat asked me to just talk in these webinars, and there I spoke about sustainable cities in relation to climate change. So that's a bit of the international work I'm involved in. Also, the youth media team is involved constantly on social media, and we are supporting the IYC. So, and just one more thing about the Mandresa conference that's coming up in November. It is after the COP27 conference in Egypt. So we've been having lots of meetings. RfP International, through the Secretariat, asked me to be involved in the planning committee meeting. And so we have Zoom meetings every 2 weeks, and we're planning the whole conference to have in November. We get more information.
Sorry, Marilyn, the chair is asking you just to quickly wrap it up, please.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. So the Mandresa conference will happen in November, and when we get more time, we will let everybody know about that. So that's basically it about the Mandresa, and the African Interfaith Youth Network also is still unfolding with the activities. And we had a meeting on 9 June, and we're planning to have an online webinar to promote more education about the COP27 conference in Egypt. And so that will also unfold in the upcoming days. So yeah, I think that's basically from me. And basically that's the youth activities we have going on so far. And we are ongoing on our social media. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So friends, I need some guidance from the chair here, because this is the secretarial report of all of our activities for the year. Marilyn has actually highlighted many of them already, but that was about 2/3. The reports we've had is about 2/3 of the work. Marilyn, let me ask you just put those pictures back up, which are just a few pictures of activity. And then instead of me reporting on all this, I'm going to send the full report in writing to all of you, if that's okay.
I support
That's
that.
the best, and I think next time
We'll table the report
Yes.
officially, and then we'll accept the report and we distribute it.
All right, thank you. So I'll just do the bullets as you guys look at pretty pictures. All right, so basically this year we were trying to make the name of Religions for Peace more known in the major faith communities throughout South Africa. We brought together diverse groups in unity to help them learn more about one another and find points of commonality and develop a healthy respect for each other through these types of dialogues. You can go to the next one, Marilyn. We did lots of youth empowerment and children empowerment programs. We also did, this is one of them that we hosted at Ubuntu with storytelling. As the children were coming out of COVID, there was a lot of children that lost family members, lost support structures. So we were trying to bring them from informal settlements and vulnerable communities to a healthy, safe space where they could learn about storytelling, learn to celebrate life again. We also did some environmental education at that specific event. In addition, you can go to the next slide. One of the highlights in the year was I shouldn't say a highlight, actually tragedies of the year were both the looting that we experienced as well as the flooding. And during that time, it was a beautiful experience of faith coming together. The Muslim World League, the Gift of the Givers, the Hindu Mahasabha, the Christian Council, the Baha'is, everybody was like, what can we do? What do you need? Who can deliver it? Here, I've got this. It was a beautiful example of the power of what we can do during crisis if we know each other. So all of these friendships and relationships been developing helped us through that time. You can go to the next slide. In addition to our online events and relief crisis projects, there was just some other really nice key things that happened. This is a beautiful picture of A.V. Muhammad with the new Archbishop, welcoming him. And we know that the Muslim and Catholic community work here at the Denis Hurly Centre with the rest of the larger community to help provide relief to the vulnerable. There was also a meeting of religious leaders in the Phoenix area after the unrest that came after the looting of the racial issues, where religious leaders came together. Ila Gandhi, Bishop Mike, I believe you were a part of that. That one? No? So they've been quite active there trying to help things simmer down so that we can rebuild not just our community physically, but our relationships. There was, at the bottom right, that is a photo of one of the We Will Speak Out interfaith trainings that took place. They did both online interfaith facilitator trainings for faith leaders to learn more about how to respond effectively when they get reports of violence in their communities, because the faith leaders are often the first point of call, but they haven't often received correct training, which can often put the survivor right into the hands of the perpetrator again. So those are ongoing interfaith trainings that Religions for Peace is now co-hosting with We Will Speak Out South Africa. When Dr. Kuria came, he also visited communities around the country, religious leaders around the country. That's a couple of pictures from that. He was meeting with both the KZN structures, go to the next slide, as well as the structures in Johannesburg that represent the various national interfaith existing bodies, to share a little bit more about the work of Religions for Peace and the goal that we have as a national structure to support the development of interfaith work at the national level. But I think we'll talk more about that later. Last slide, I think. We have one project that belongs to Religions for Peace in South Africa, which is the Ubuntu Wellness Project, which is hosted in Pinetown. So that we have one physical project that's ours. Most of the time, what we try and do is partner with existing organizations as co-hosts for things. So I just wanted to mention that, and also mention the incredible interfaith work of the Western Cape religious leaders who have actively been involved, again, with Desmond Tutu and his work, and the work of bringing interfaith solidarity throughout their province. We hosted a beautiful dialogue in honor of Archbishop's 90th birthday, and then shortly after that we lost him. So it was a wonderful way, while he was still with us, to just celebrate a figure that helps unite us all. And the feeling in that space was really beautiful. A lot of unity. Last slide, I think. I think I would like to leave it there for now. And this is just some pictures of the recent coming together of the religious leaders here in Durban, who are kind of, the KZN Interreligious Council is relaunching. We just had an AGM last month, and yeah, I just love those pictures of people together. Thank you very much. That's the end for me.
Thank you. It was very informative. Thanks a lot. The financial report, I think that Chairperson already mentioned it. So anything around it, or we close it on the financial report?
Yeah, Karen, do you have anything you'd like to add? Our outgoing treasurer.
Well, just to say, I'm really sorry that we didn't get the financials ready in time. We've been working on it for years now, so I'm really disappointed with the auditors. Yeah, I just wish everybody the best going forward with the work. I will happily help from where I can. I'm afraid being in Australia and England has been quite limiting. Yeah, if there's anything I can do to help with the transition, I'm more than willing to do so.
Sorry, friends, we lost you there for a second. Karen, all we heard was that you're sorry the audit wasn't done yet, but it's still, but it's being done.
Well, it's been going on for years. I'm just deeply disappointed that it hasn't been sorted. And I was just saying that I'm prepared to help in the transition. It's just frozen again.
Sorry again, Karen, are you still talking? Are you done?
It's fine, we can discuss this after the meeting.
Yeah, so
we will find a way.
We will find a way, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, can I say something? Can I say something? Yeah, I think in future, in the reporting, you need to report around themes, which is actually the priority objectives that the Religions for Peace South Africa has set for itself. So, because now reporting, the way you have reported, it's hard to follow whether you are trying to achieve some specific objectives. So if you are achieving objectives around interfaith dialogue, you report everything under interfaith dialogue. If you are talking about issues to do with health, you report everything you are doing around health. If you are reporting things to do with peacemaking, peace building, and building a culture of peace, you report things around objectives. That way people can say you, and that forces you also to plan so that things don't just happen. They happen according to a plan. So once you have a plan, you have a 5-year strategic plan like we have in ACRL, you can follow ours, or you can follow the international one, and then group your activities around the planned objectives, and then report around the planned objective. And then you can say, out of your plan, how much have you achieved? So at an annual general meeting, what we should be looking at, have we achieved the objective we set at the beginning of the year? So at the beginning of the year, you say, these are the things we want to do this year. We want to reach 1,000 people through interreligious dialogue. How many have you reached? So because now your report has no numbers, so we do not know your level of achievement. You've just done a lot of activity, but what achievement have been made? And achievement is against some target and it's against some numbers. and therefore you can then know, are we progressing or are we regressing? So I would, next year, you're doing it now in June. Maybe by July you should set your target for from July to June next year. 1 year target of the number of people, the number of activities. If it's trees, you have an environmental program. You want to plant trees. How many trees do you want to plant? You set targets. At the next year, you say, what we said we are going to do, we have reached this level, and therefore you can know whether you're progressing, and then you can end up with what is called results-based management. You're managing for results. You're doing things to achieve specific results. Because right now I try to follow this report, but it's difficult to interrogate it because it's not against some set objectives. It's not against specific things that you wanted to achieve. And I think moving forward, this is going to be an important aspect so that you then achieve your objectives and are able to report against growth or regression. Thank you very much. I yield the floor to my co-chair to take us to the next agenda.
Thanks, Doc. I think we have to appreciate whatever the members doing by their own when we don't have a structure. So all the program, what they have done, it is done by individual. It is a single effort or maybe joint effort, but you don't have the real structure to plan it. For us, after we build the structure properly, we will have a year plan, 5-year plan. We look at the international days of activities. Then we adopt those in, like you got the International Day Against Women Abuse and Child Abuse. You got the International Day of the Child. We got many education. So we will look at all this and we adopt some of it, and then we will put it in our program for the entire year. So it won't be just I wake up in the morning and I want to do this and I will go and do it. We will follow a proper planning and structure. But this is, you need the whole structure of the organization be done properly. You will have your president or the chairperson, you have your secretary, you have all the members, and we will adopt the agenda for the entire year. Although during the year, something will come urgent like the flood or the unrest, then that's something else. But the proper planning for the year, it will be done from the beginning of the year, and then it will be reported. And I think every program we will do, it will be reported in writing, so we don't have to spend time and explain it like this, the way we're going today. But it is fine. I think we appreciate all the efforts what have been done already without any proper structure. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's very important. I mean, the work we have seen is outstanding. We need to comment. But I think if you want guidance, as you said, is that we need to have a proper structure. Put a timetable in the year. What are the events for the year? Whether it's Ocean Cleanup Day, Environmental Day, Water Week, Arbor Week, you know what I mean? So we can put those down and we can structure accordingly so everybody knows throughout the country.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
And perhaps just to add that, I think up until now, for a long while, it's been very KZN focused and even Durban focused. And it's wonderful to see that we gain national again. And I think that all the programs must always be national, and that the reports come back from the different regions. And I think that, but I think the energy has, and the sustained work has been from KZN. And I think that's highly commendable because they've managed to keep it going. And I think that for me and to our secretary and others who really made sure, Marilyn and the team. And I said in one of the webinars that, and I think along with either Gandhi. I think I'm happy enough to retire as well, seeing all this young energy come up.
Tell him what you.
Not yet.
We can rest when we die.
No, that is very important. Thanks, Bishop Mike. I think that's very important, but we need first, because now what we're looking at to put the national structure. Yes. When you have the national structure, then it will come from top to bottom to every province. So when there is a program, it will be a national program. Yes. Where all the provinces will work on it. Excellent. So this is the meeting, I think, today where we have to say, okay, we are alive. We are back to life, and we're going to drive it the way it's supposed to be. Yes.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
So back then to the amendments to the Constitution, which is quick actually, and it's on that note. So yes. If you want to let me do that, then I'll be done. We can do our election.
Sure.
There was just a few things at the last AGM, the BGM, which was to change our address because it was DUT. Now it is 2 Cathedral Drive, which is the Denis Hurly Centre. That's our mailing address. And there was just some typos like association to capitalize. I did those things.
So is this the address of the office, or is it just?
Yeah, the Office of Religions for Peace South Africa. It needed an office. It needed a mailing address.
Yeah.
The Constitution.
Okay.
And then the other amendment that was proposed at the BGM was to add 3 clauses to our aims and objectives, which is on your point, which is that we have to have representativity. And so the way it is worded is, this principle recognizes that a person or group of persons can represent informally or formally concerns of a larger community. Provincial chapters recognize cooperative work for the common good by engaging existing multiple religious groups already existing and working towards common goals and working on relevant challenges. RfP works for inclusivity, especially for youth and women involvement. Second clause was subsidiarity. Dad, can you just shut those windows for me, please? And Prof, can you just get that window? Thank you. Subsidiarity. This principle is designed to ensure that appropriate leadership occurs on every level of the IRC, and all levels are organically linked. This also includes reciprocity among all levels. No level can disregard the principles that guide the entire organization, but each restricted level is included in and is part of all broader levels. This principle allows for inclusive representative participation regarding situations that affect the whole organization, but also ensures that local actors remain the agents of their own affairs regarding local issues. So this is based on, I think, the African Council of Religious Leaders constitutional guidance. And then the last one was solidarity. This principle builds cohesion of the IRC by binding members to stand with each other in times of challenges and difficulties. This is especially important during threats, intimidation, and discrimination. This helps members stand together in strength. So those were the clauses added, which were quite important. And there was just a few typos that we fixed. And then at the end, it's just the amended constitution needs to, it was adopted at the biennial BGM. And today we need to just sign it because it was never signed. And that was the proposed changes. And it was circulated in case anybody wants to make more, but it's been worked on a long time.
If you allow me, I think let's not adopt it today. Let's go through it properly after the new structure comes, and with the help of the others to finalize it properly. Because the first point you spoke about the address, you heard what's happening. I came today here. Next time I won't come here. Parking, the crime. Not everyone will accept to come to this area.
Yeah, this is not the address of this.
Just the mailing address.
Mailing address. Yeah. Okay.
So is that okay?
This is why I asked.
Okay. Sorry, so through you. I just need to clarify with Dr. Curia about the becoming an interreligious council is that something that we have to change constitutionally in terms of the name, or is it there already?
It's all in here.
It's
but
already
like
there.
like Sheikh proposed,
Yes.
we can look at it in
Look
more
at it.
depth.
Okay.
In depth and make sure that it is 100%.
100%.
Yeah, and I have my lawyer also, we can give it to them.
Sure.
It have to be also in line with the South African law. So we don't want to do our own things and we say.
If I can say something.
Please.
Yes, I was going to say something. The question by Bishop Mike. One thing is, sorry, my internet is not so good. You'll hear me clearly. The issue about an interreligious council, you do not have to change the name. You can still be called Religions for Peace South Africa, number one. So you don't have to be called an interreligious council, like Interreligious Council of Uganda, Interreligious Council of Burundi, and other things. You can choose your name. The only other country with Religions for Peace is also Benin. Our country in West Africa, we also have Interreligious Council. You have Religions for Peace Benin. They chose that name also. So the name.
Sorry, Doctor, we're struggling to hear you.
Number two, the most important thing is the principles, the three principles, and leadership. For you to be, the sound is not good. I'm sorry. I'm saying the second leadership must be of faith communities primarily. That this is an organization of bringing together the faith communities, and the leadership is from the faith communities. And it's recognized, the recognized leadership of those faith communities at the highest level that form that interreligious body. Those are the only two major requirements. Of course, then you have to sign the affiliation agreement, and you have to be according to there's the International Code of Conduct that I spoke about when I was there, and that you have to adhere to together with the international standing rules. So we have the international standing rules, the International Code of Conduct, and the International Affiliation Agreement at the international level for you to be an interreligious, a national interreligious body. Thank you. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks a lot. I think even when Dr. Korea was here and we spoke about it in this room, I think regarding how we're going to revive that organization. And I said, if we don't start from the root, we're not going to go anywhere, because it started very good in the time of late Bishop Tutu, but then things happening. Now, this is why my proposal is the structure we're going to talk about it today and establish today is going to be the interim. Because the minute I say no, we are already the national structure now, immediately the other bodies, religious bodies, going to say, you already did it yourself. So we will start with the interim to pave the way, to put the foundation, and then we will visit all the religious bodies, but not individual, like your church, Bishop Mike. It's a national. So the national office will give us the national members, and the same things with the Muslims. We got the national one as we spoke. Then after that, we will have our conference where we'll start the national body. Then the national body from there, they will take our message to their followers, to their churches, to their mosque, to their temple. And this is how we spread our wing all South Africa, or maybe Southern Africa, because Southern Africa belongs to us also. So if we start that, I think we are winning.
That's a process. That sounds,
yes.
sounds a good way forward.
Yes.
Sorry. To
align the constitution, the draft you've got, with the African constitution, the African Council.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the international. I'm sure you've done a different.
This is why we will propose also to take it to the lawyer.
Yeah.
They will look at it. They will advise us. We will put our input. Then we will take it to the top structure, the international one. They adopt it. Then we will launch it. I think let's this time do it properly.
Yeah.
So this is a motion.
It's a
Yes.
motion.
Yes.
It's like a second.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
You see, the only reason I say yes to you yesterday because I have a brother here with muscles.
Okay, so then we can move on to the.
I'm looking if I say brother or son.
So are we ready to
Maybe it's at this point, given the discussion that you have had, I think it's good to give an opportunity maybe to further hear from the South Africa Conference of Catholic Bishops and maybe Raj Bharat to say a few words around these proposals so that we can also get the people who are online to make a comment. Maybe we start with Father Hugh about the evolution and transition of the current structure into a national interreligious body and using the plan and the steps that have been outlined by Sheikh Walid.
But Chair, I propose we park that for now in the interest of time. And if I look at the agenda in front of me, we've still got aspects to cover.
Yeah.
So that's my.
We have
that's what I
the general. The general is very important.
I've actually put all of this in the general discussion, what we've been talking about, and then the motion.
Okay.
But I think to unpack it at this juncture is a bit premature because we've still got items on the agenda to go through. And some of us have committed, like the gentleman, I don't know who it was, but when it left, we've just got almost 10, 12 minutes to conclude as per our scheduled meeting time.
Deal with the elections.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's deal with the election now.
Yeah. Okay, so Sheikh is proposing that today is the election of an interim structure to help reestablish the vibe, get the roots in order, get the lawyer things in order, and then we then will come back.
Sure.
So everybody's happy with that. It was seconded. So yeah, like I said, there were nominations. I don't know if we have further nominations that people want to bring forward today.
So I just want to clarify that the one is the youth balance, gender balance, but also the faith balance. You know, for instance, are all the major faiths represented there?
Must.
You know, for instance, I'm not sure the Christian sort of faith in that nomination, because I think ideally it would be somebody who has very strong links with the South African Council of Churches and the South African Catholic Bishops Conference, because those are very strong national bodies that represent a huge, broad spectrum. So part of me would like to suggest that because of Reverend Ian Booth's connection with the South African Council of Churches, that I'd like to nominate him to be a part of this.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's another nomination there.
Okay.
Reverend Ian, are you still with us?
I think he's disappeared.
And although we still
I am still with you, yes.
Yes.
Hello. Hello. I think we need to do this procedurally. If we are going to do elections, the proper way to do election is to first of all agree who is the person who is going to conduct the election in terms of the returning officer. Who is you say you have received nomination, Haley. Who are you the one conducting the election, or the nomination you will give them to somebody else who is conducting the election? This has to be clear so that it's done in a very systematic way. So we appoint one person to conduct the election, and then we then agree what positions are being elected. So we go number one, position of president and chair of Religions for Peace, South Africa, interim committee. Which nominations have you received for that position? You read out the names, and we agree if there are more than one name, then we need to conduct an election or not. And if only one name, if everybody is agreeable to that name, then we say that person is duly elected. Then we go like that. So for now, I think the first point is who is conducting the election.
Can you do it?
You have to ask
Dr.
Curia, can you do it?
Yeah, I can do it. If you so request, I have no problem doing it.
Okay, ready, set, go. Request made, please, no objection?
No, not at all.
Please help us guide this process as efficiently as possible.
Okay, so which positions are due for election according to the current constitution? Which positions do we want are due for election? In other words, the position for which there is a vacancy, or do we then declare all positions vacant because the period has ended? Ella wants to say something. Yes, Ella. Ella?
So what I wanted to suggest is that we have taken a resolution that we would defer the acceptance of the Constitution for another date, the new Constitution. And I'm just wondering whether we shouldn't also resolve that we would do the elections in terms of the new Constitution at that date as well. When we accept the new Constitution, we elect the office bearers in terms of that new Constitution. Because the old Constitution doesn't, doesn't allow for national. It is a sort of KwaZulu-Natal based Constitution.
So that's the very old one. I don't even have access to that very old one. The one that I have is the one that was proposed by the African Council of Religious Leaders, which does allow for national structure. There was a comment from Patricia. Can you just share it again?
No, that wasn't accepted by the NPO as yet.
Yeah, I think Ella is right.
Was accepted by the NPO, and that's the one that we have to abide by for now.
Yes, Ella is right. Ella, if I can jump in here, Ella is right. You can only elect people according to the existing rules. If you have a new constitution you are proposing, whose adoption has been deferred, you cannot elect people into those positions because they don't exist in the current constitution. What we are saying, we are being flexible with it. We are saying, yes, we have an existing constitution, and we are going to put people in according to that constitution, but we are going to call that team an interim team to help move us to the new constitution and the new national body.
Yes.
So we are saying, according to the old constitution that is there, what positions are available. And there are two things. If the positions that are available is what we are going to elect, but we are going to be flexible about it and call it transition or interim committee. So right now we know there is a president and chairman who is also the chairman. Okay, and then there is a secretary. And we know there is a treasurer. Karen has been serving in that position. Which other position is known in the old constitution?
A
Do you have a
vice chair.
communication person?
A vice chair.
You have a vice chair.
We haven't had a vice chair up until now.
But it's in the Constitution. And then the new Constitution allows for 3 vice chairs.
No, don't talk about the new one. Don't talk about the new one. Just talk about the old one. Do you have a communication person or another leadership, or all the others are members. We say the other position are just members of the executive.
Yes, so today we just need to fill those ones, and if there's anybody else we want to nominate for the interim committee, we can just opt them in.
Yeah, so for the position of president, what nominations have you received?
Only for Sheikh Walid. There was no others received. I sent the nomination form to 185 of our people, our members and well-wishers of Religions for Peace, and that was the one received.
All right. So we have the nomination of Sheikh Walid as president and chair of the Religions for Peace South Africa. Can Sheikh Walid confirm that he has made this application and that he has the support of the World Muslim League, a faith community in South Africa, to be the president of the Religions for Peace South Africa? First of all, they have to accept the nomination.
I do, so help me God.
No, he's not yet elected. He's not yet elected. So do we have anybody else? Do we have anybody else who wishes to nominate somebody else? Because according to the rules, you can nominate from the floor. Do you have anybody else? No, I have not heard anybody suggesting somebody else.
There was just a proposal by Bishop Mike to close nominations. Yeah.
No, I'm nominating. No.
I decline.
So Bishop Mike was also nominated, but he declined the nomination.
Okay.
And that actually was suggested a long time ago, and he also declined long ago. So we can minute that.
So having received only one nomination for the position of president and having been duly...
there was two nominations. One wasn't... Yeah, there were two.
Okay, and the other person declined the nomination. Therefore, there is only one valid nominee for this position. I therefore declare Sheikh Walid elected as the president of Religions for Peace South Africa, and we will issue an election certificate to that effect. Then we have the position of secretary. The position of secretary currently held by Mrs. Haley Fudu. Do we have nominees for this position?
Any nominations for secretary?
Haley Fudu.
Haley.
There was none except... Mrs. Haley Fudu has been nominated to continue serving as the secretary to the Religions for Peace South Africa. Do we have another nominee?
Vedant Singh.
Mrs. Haley Fudu, do you accept your nomination to serve as secretary to the Religions for Peace South Africa?
I do accept on one condition, that I can have an assistant secretary. Can I do that?
You don't need to nominate that.
Okay, I accept. I'm making it complicated, sorry.
Make sure he's a member.
Okay.
All right. So is there anybody else who wants to nominate somebody else to be the position of secretary to the... thank you, Madam Ella. Please, we accept that you have to leave now. Do we have any other nomination for the secretary, position of secretary of Religions for Peace South Africa? I have not heard and I have not seen anybody else seeking to nominate somebody for the position of secretary, and therefore I duly announce Mrs. Haley Fudu as duly elected as secretary to the Religions for Peace South Africa, and our election certificate to be issued in due course. We now have the position of treasurer, which used to be held by Madam Karen, who has since moved to Australia. Do we have nominees for the position of treasurer of Religions for Peace South Africa?
Yes, there was a nomination for Belinda Mendu.
Belinda Mendu?
Yes.
they nominated themselves, or they were nominated by somebody else?
They were nominated by somebody else.
All right. Now, Belinda Mendu, is she present in this meeting?
Yes. Video so she can be seen by the Zoomers.
I am here.
Thank you. So, Belinda Mendu, can you confirm that you accept this nomination and that you have got the support of your faith community? I'm not sure I know your faith community to serve in the position of Treasurer of Religions for Peace South Africa.
I am happy to help as a treasurer, but I think that there should be some more nominations. And I believe it's a 4-year term. So I think this is a very important role. So I'm happy to be an interim for a short while until this is very, especially with the, I was quite upset and worried about the auditors and the accountants when I was doing the research. Obviously, I do not know the background, and I don't mean to criticize, but this is very, very important. And since you mentioned legality, that's why I think it's very essential. And for the best, if you could say, I don't know how to say it, but in everybody's best interest, just for an interim, because it's a South African institution and NPO, it's very important that you nominate somebody with the correct criteria, because I am not an accountant, and I've come from a background of banking, estate rates, Excel spreadsheets. I'm a trainer, and I always laugh, and my students don't like it, bad jokes. I say I work with dead people in insurance. But so I am very accustomed to big numbers and paying people on SharePoint with lots of zeros. However, this is not, a treasury is not something to be taken lightly in the NPO, and we need leadership like yourselves. Sorry to be so long, but we need very important leadership. And everybody has to audit the treasurer, because as you know, with Judas, anybody with money, there's bad history. So especially interfaith, it's a very important thing. I would like the leaders to make the final decision, but I'm very happy to help as long as all the secretaries, they must nominate the money side of things, the auditors. I can help add money. I can work with it. Sorry.
Thank you, no problem. Chairperson, I think for treasurer, we will accept just to be temporary. Let's say temporary, because if we will find someone who have qualification of accountant, it will be much better, because this is a big organization, and the heart of the organization is the finance and the accountant. So if you allow that just temporary until we find the right person, then it's okay. Otherwise, we will close it like that until we find the right treasurer.
Yes, thank you for that intervention. Yes, we want to make it clear that the team we are electing, as I said before, is as per the Constitution, and they are because this is an ongoing organization. They are in those positions as per the Constitution, but we know very well we are giving them the term interim because they are supposed to be a transition team. They are going to be transitioning us to a national body, and that national body will be able to help us. Within 2 years maximum, we should have another election with a new constitution, with a national body which will elect new people, and this position should be filled according to that new constitution. However, I need to point out something, that a treasurer in an organization like this does not need to be a qualified accountant. Even at the international level, the treasurer of Religions for Peace International is not an accountant. The treasurer, my treasurer as ACRL is the Secretary General of the Episcopal Conferences of Africa and Madagascar. He's called Father Henry. He is just a priest, but he's able to carry out the functions of a treasurer. We have an accountant in the office. It's when you open an office, you have administrative staff, then you employ an accountant. The treasurer does not need accountancy skills. What they need is a keenness for oversight, to just be able to oversight the numbers and ensure that everything is done according to the rules and procedure of the organization. So that's a small clarification, but it's true, this is an interim position. So Belinda, given that explanation, do you accept now wholeheartedly to be the treasurer of Religions for Peace South Africa?
Be very happy and honored to help.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other nominee? Okay, you are very quick to clap because you don't seem to be nominee. All right then. All right then. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we'll issue a certificate of election soon. Now, we have now the position of vice chair. And I think there is a bit of a complication here because I think the nominations were sought based on this new constitution, but I think we have said we are not going to consider the new constitution. But what nominees do you have, Haley, for the position of vice chair?
So there was 3 so far. I'm considering 4. No, he's the 3rd. There was 2 submitted electronically for Reverend Tandy from Johannesburg and Reverend Barry from Cape Town. So those 2 were received by email. And then Sheikh Walid has also nominated Bishop Mike as a vice chair. And I'm very tempted to make one more nomination I've been thinking about Prof. Janabai and his brother, Pundit Janabai. Am I saying his surname properly? Janabi. They're linked to the Hindu Mahasabha. So I'm thinking about them. I know Vedana is part of the Hindu community as well. But I think it's very important that in this interim committee, we have somebody we know and trust who is already an existing member of Religions for Peace to represent the Hindu community. So I don't know what to do there. That's my dilemma. So if there's any suggestion.
Okay, I mean, excuse me. It's not a thinking process. It is the question of have you received a nomination? So you have told us you have received 3 nominations, one of Reverend Tandy, one of Reverend Berry, and one of Bishop Mike. Those are 3 nominations. We note that Sheikh Walid is from the Muslim community, Haley is from the Baha'i community, Belinda is from which community?
Can I say, is it funny? Well, my late ex-husband is a Hare Krishna devotee, so we could say I'm on his Hindu side, but I never converted, so I will go to the church and the temple. So I think that
one day I take you to the mosque.
I've been once to a beautiful mosque in Turkey, so
I'm not hearing clearly, Haley. She says she's from because we want to.
She's half Hindu, half Christian.
Hare Krishna is not Hindu.
Oh, it's a movement within Hinduism, yeah. She's half Hare Krishna, half.
So we have put her as Hindu. So now we need a Christian, and we have Reverend Thande, Reverend Berry, and Reverend Bishop Mike. All 3 are, I believe, are Christians. The Constitution has only one position of vice chair. Yes, Reverend Berry wants to say something.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I just want to point out that I'm not Christian. I'm an interfaith, interspiritual minister, which is not affiliated with Christianity. I belong to everybody as an ordained interfaith minister. Thank you. I'm sorry to confuse the issue for you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that.
No problem.
Yeah.
And in the absence of Reverend Thandi, I also want to just clarify that she is a reverend that is trained in both Christian as well as African traditional. So she comes from both those backgrounds, not just Christian.
Yes, and I think I should.
Oh, she's there! Yay!
I'm here.
Welcome, Reverend.
Yes, hello, how are you? I've been here, just unmuted myself. Maybe I'll also say something. Yeah, I think Heidi is right. I am actually a metaphysical Christian. I come from the New Thought movement, which is, well, they use the Bible, obviously, as the basis, but it's a metaphysical Christian, New Thought, also African spirituality.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Now, normally we try to avoid an election in Religions for Peace, a contested election, unless we have to, unless it's very, very unavoidable to do an election. My first instinct, therefore, is not to conduct voting to decide who amongst these three will be the vice chair. My first instinct, therefore, is to see how do we deal with the conundrum and ensure that the three of them continue to serve, but one of them is designated as the vice chair. I would say already we have one gentleman and two ladies. So in the interest of gender balance, maybe it might be a good idea to have a gentleman and at the same time, as I said, we were trying to balance the faith communities, given the population of South Africa, it might be a good idea to have a Christian as a vice chair, so that you have in the leadership a Muslim, Baha'i, Hindu, and a Christian, and maybe include the others in the committee as members of the committee. But if you want, we can still conduct an election and ask people to vote. But I would wish to propose this as a middle ground, middle way. Reverend Ian Booth is excusing himself. Thank you, sir, for your presence. But maybe you could have given one last comment, Reverend Booth, in line with this suggestion that I made, that if we can have the three of them serve in the committee, the two as co-opted members, with a Christian serving as the vice chair, what will be your view? Before you leave,
yes. I would concur with your view on that.
Okay. The three contestants, I will want to go one by one, starting with the way I have received the nomination for your comments on this. So we'll go Reverend Thandi, Reverend Berry, and then Reverend, Bishop Mike. How do you see my proposal, Reverend Thandi?
Yes, I also would concur with your proposal.
Thank you very much, Reverend Thandi. Reverend Berry?
Thank you. I completely agree with your proposal. I second your proposal. Thank you.
Bishop Mike, what do you think about my proposal?
No, I concur with it. It makes sense.
Thank you very much, Bishop Mike. So we have received three nominations for the position of vice chair, and through a process of consensus building, we have agreed that Bishop Mike Voster becomes the vice chair of the Religions for Peace South Africa, and that Reverend Thandi and Reverend Berry be members of the executive or the interim executive of the Religions for Peace South Africa. I was going to, and thank you, and we'll issue certificates to that effect. Now, I was going to go to the next step and ask for nominees for women and youth, but because already we have enough number of ladies in this committee, I don't think there is going to be any problem with the women representative. I'm going then to ask for one person for the floor to nominate.
Sorry, Kuria, can you turn off your video so that we can hear you better? If you turn off your video, that should help with the connection.
Representative, this one new person is blown because the office internet is off. So my phone, when somebody calls, then the internet comes very low. So I'm sorry about that. Saying that this committee we have chosen is very well balanced in terms of both genders, and therefore I'm not going to be asking for a women representative. Usually when you form religious committees, you'll find sometimes they are very one-sided in terms of male gender, and therefore sometimes we do ask for a women representative. But I think this is well balanced. Instead, we will ask for one youth representative, and I was going to suggest, because we have already 4 ladies and 2 gentlemen, that we have one male youth as a youth representative to serve in this committee, so that you have also the youth represented in the committee. And I'll ask now the floor to suggest one male youth to serve in this committee as we move forward, because it's usually very important for that to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I have seen Marilyn. Marilyn has nominated a gentleman by the name Vegan Sim.
We were all nodding the same thing on this side. That's perfect. You couldn't see us because we turned off the video, but we all want to have a representative.
I'm here.
Okay, you are there. Thank you very much. Is there any other nominee? Any other new idea? Okay, we don't have another nominee. So can we hear the voice of Vedan Singh, whether they accept this nomination to serve in this interim committee, which is actually the committee of the Religions of South Africa?
Thank you. It will be a pleasure. I accept.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much. Given the acceptance of Vedan Singh, we then conclude this process that we now have a new committee of Religions for Peace South Africa. This committee is an interim committee with the task of continuing the work that is going on, but most importantly, to complete the process of transition to a new national body, and this committee will be asked, especially Sheikh Walid, to work closely with the outgoing president Raj Pandit Bharat, who has done a commendable job. Has spent a lot of time trying to sort out a very difficult transition that happened when we had the previous election, and he was left without adequate documentation, and he has had to reconstruct a lot of things in a very difficult manner. So thank you very much. And if for the record, I want to congratulate the various members who have been elected today, and maybe we can give Sheikh Walid on behalf of the new elected committee a chance to say one word before we go to the next agenda, because the time is not on our side. We can't give chance
I think just a big thank you to our outgoing treasurer and our outgoing chair. Thank you to our outgoing chair and outgoing treasurer. We all thank you for your service.
Give a chance to Sheikh Walid to say something about the election, but if he has, if we have, we don't have he doesn't want to make a speech, an acceptance speech or something.
Thank you, SG. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone who put their trust in me, although it is going to be not easy. And I don't believe that there is outgoing members, because they are part of us, and we need their support. I need the support of everyone for us to make this movement a strong movement, national, international, and not only a structure, but it is in the action on the ground. So we thank everyone. We thank you first for giving us your time, your advice. It's very important. And yeah, we promise that we will take this, I don't want to say train, I say plane, to the highest as much as we can. May the Almighty help us, guide us, and give us the spirit of that Ubuntu, that working together. I mean, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I now want to ask what the secretary had meant when he put an agenda of general. Normally, we avoid general discussions. So what is in the agenda of general, agenda item number 12?
12, yeah.
I took the liberty of moving that item to after we discussed the constitutional amendments, because we naturally went into a general discussion, and I minuted all of those things and the motion, all that came up as part of our general discussion. Is that acceptable, or should I move it? Acceptable to our youth representative? And Patricia, okay, so I think we are then done, unless there's anything else that anybody has would like to bring to the general discussion.
I have one. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Yes, I think Karen wants to say something. Give a chance to Karen to say something.
What my concern is that, but please forgive me, I feel a bit ignorant. There are no Rastafarians represented, or can we, because this is only interim, for our next meeting, can we invite and propose? So I was trying to list it with my brain. All religions,
across the board.
Jewish,
all religions across the board.
Shembi. We have no African except
We
for
won't
one.
leave anyone.
Yeah, we're not going to leave anybody
No,
out.
African.
SDG goal.
everyone will be part of it.
Yeah, we leave no one behind.
That's a good important point. Thank you. I've put it in the minutes.
No, this is who we are.
Yeah.
We said faith-based. So every faith have to be part of it. The minute you exclude one, you're going down. This is why most of the organization which we was part of, because they want to hold it for one. No, here it's everybody. No, everyone.
Anybody is willing. If they're willing to join, they're welcome. Yes. No, sure.
Good.
Thank you. I think then that is the we can say
It was
we can say hello. We can say that is the general discussion that this organization. Sorry, before we conclude, Reverend Thande, want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify because I see sometimes you call it interfaith and now it's faith-based. Is a distinction between faith-based and interfaith?
Okay, thank you very much. In the proper use of language, we are supposed to actually call it multi-faith. We are a multi-religious organization, welcoming people of all faiths. So we are multi-faith. Because the idea is we welcome all the faith communities to work with us in a collaborative manner, and therefore sometimes when people say interfaith, it does not. It is between. It gives the impression of between, but actually we are multi-faith and multi-religious. But again, these words are used interchangeably. So when people say it's interfaith or interreligious or multi-faith, they actually mean the same thing. But definitely, we are not an FBO. A faith-based organization is a different thing altogether.
Okay, so we are actually multi-faith.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I just needed that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. So that is the general discussion, and it can be recorded as such that the Religions for Peace South Africa stands for multi-religious action and dialogue, and that they welcome everybody to be part of the Religions for Peace South Africa, and that can be worded appropriately. Now, if we can just go to the last item on the agenda, the way forward, the goals and vision for next term. I think we have already discussed this at length. That the goal and vision of the coming period is to transition the Religions for Peace South Africa to be a national body and to bring all the religious groups into dialogue and to seek to create a national body with all the faith groups represented at their top leadership level, but also to create interreligious and interfaith mechanisms in all the provinces, and that this team which has been elected, that will be their primary the primary goal. However, to recognize that Religions for Peace is an ongoing concern, and therefore issues that need to be dealt with administratively are continuing to be dealt with. Things that need to be done in terms of programs are continuing to be done, but they see their primary goal as that transition to a new national multi-religious organization. If we can, and if this can be passed as a resolution, that we agree that the next goal, the major goal for the interim committee is the creation of a national multi-religious organization for the whole of South Africa, and that this will be the goal for the team that has been elected. Can we agree on that?
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
All right. Thank you very much. Because I'm worried if we continue losing, we might end up without quorum. We have now 8 members, about 20 members present. We go to the next item on the agenda, and which is the vote of thanks. Who is going to move the vote of thanks? Who have you suggested to move the vote of thanks? Secretary Haley?
I think there is here.
Thank you.
I think there has been a problem with Haley and the team on the ground. I think they have all they have been disconnected. If I could ask Reverend Thandi to close for us who are present here online with a word of prayer, and then Melin can close the hosting of this event because she's not the host. Reverend Thandi, if you can hear me,
yes,
you can close the meeting.
Yes, let me just start my video so you can see me. Okay, thank you, Chair. I would close with an all-encompassing prayer for protection for all of us, for the African continent. Let's just be still for a moment. And just envision the whole world, the whole planet. Just envision all of us being just one family, one nation, one religion, which is love. And then now let us pray for the whole planet, this one. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And we pray for peace to encompass the whole world. We pray for all religions of the world to come together as one family. We send love, we send compassion, we send peace to the entire planet. And we pray for all the members that have been elected or nominated today, that God gives them the strength to lead with the guidance of spirit and with the love of people in the entire world. And we pray this together. We let it be, and so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your perseverance and best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Dr. Kuria, for your sharing. We appreciate your time.